People in their 20s and 30s also need to do estate planning. I'm going to tell you why. Hi, Nancy Bovier here with Agape and Next Steps. One of the things I come across all the time is that people in their 20s and 30s neglect their estate planning. Now, I get it. When people think of estate planning, typically they only think about a will. And a will, of course, only takes place after you die. Not only does it only take place after you die, but it also conjures up those uncomfortable feelings of your mortality. And let's face it, most people in their 20s and 30s are not thinking that they're going to be dying anytime soon. But here's the thing. That's the prime time for people to be thinking about doing estate planning. A lot of times people think that because they don't have children, they don't need a will. But that's just simply not true. If you're working and you have possessions, you do need to have a will. Somebody will need to administer your estate, whatever your estate is, if you do pass away. And let's face it, none of us knows when our expiration date is for sure. But here's the other thing about estate planning in your 20s and 30s. The biggest thing that people think about, as I mentioned, is about a will. But proper estate planning takes into consideration incapacity. More and more often, young people are getting involved in a lot of extreme sports, a lot of extreme activities, and there are risks with those activities. If you become incapacitated, let's say that you're mountain biking and you take a bad spill and you end up hitting your head. What if you end up in a coma for an extended period of time and you don't have a power of attorney document in place so that somebody can pay your bills and somebody can make those legal decisions? What if you're laying in that hospital bed and you don't have that medical directive and your family is forced to go to the courts to try to get authority to speak on your behalf for making both those financial and those medical decisions? And of course, it gets even more complex if you do have a young family. Most people in their 20s and 30s are establishing their families. They have young children. If something happens to you and your spouse, your partner, at the same time, who is going to be the guardian for your children? If you don't name a guardian in your will, the court will appoint that guardian, and it may not be somebody that you would like to have taken care of your children. Recently, I did a presentation at a local community. The office administrator of that community association mentioned that she's only 23, but she said, "You won't believe how many people I know in the last year under 30 who have died." She says, "We don't ever think that anything's going to happen to us, and we really need to do our planning." Well, don't let that happen to you. Now, there's also some other upsides. When you are doing your estate planning, a proper estate plan not just takes care of those legal documents, your will, your power of attorney, and your medical directive, but it also takes a look at your financial picture. It makes sure that you have things like beneficiaries named on life insurance policies or RSPs or different investment accounts. It makes sure that you take into consideration what is going to happen if you own a property and you pass away and something happens. It allows you to get a snapshot at that point in your life of what your financial circumstances look like, and it helps you plan accordingly going forward. One of the biggest mistakes people make is not naming beneficiaries on their investment accounts. If things flow through your estate when you pass away, they're subject to probate. Another argument for making your will is that a will is a public document. So if you have not got beneficiaries named and everything is going to flow through your will, anybody can go down and request a copy of that will and they can see what your assets were. If you do your proper estate planning and you name your beneficiaries, those flow outside of the will and it provides you a measure of privacy as well. That's just a few of the reasons why you really should embrace the idea of getting this done. Now, I understand that a lot of people are uncomfortable. They don't feel comfortable talking about these kinds of personal things with possibly strangers. But here's the thing. I've got a lot of tools over on my website, and you can work through a lot of these circumstances before you make that appointment with the financial professional or the lawyer or the tax professional. I'm a certified executor advisor. I provide these tools, I provide guidance so that when you do meet the professionals, you're in a good place and you know what you're going to be bringing forward to them. Saves you time, saves you money, and you understand a little bit more about the process before you go into it. I've got an article over on my website, like always. The link is in the description box. I invite you to hop over and check that out. And while you're there, check out the planning toolkit and see which of those tools works for your circumstance. Thanks very much for joining me this week. I look forward to sharing more with you next time. Bye for now.